Welcome to the fourth video on our development of the MyDate class. And the first three were good videos, I think. There was a lot of good information in those videos. But, writing a program is like writing a term paper. You know how they tell you in English that when you write a term paper, you have to have multiple drafts and then submit the final draft? This is the same thing that occurs with programming. And I slept on this program, and I woke up realizing that there's a inherent problem with this MyDate class. Remember, the bottom line is you're trying to prevent bad data from entering that class. See, buried inside X is a month, day, and year field. And okay, 7/12/2020, that's good. Those are the values, but remember we provided these setters. Let's have a setter that says set day equal say 31. All right, the 31st day, and then we'll say x dot set month is 4, and we'll leave the 2020 in there. Let's see. Let's print that out too. Let's print that out. System dot out dot print line x, and let's for now just comment out the rest of this stuff so we don't get distracted by all this other gibberish that comes out. And so we'll print this out and see what we get. All right. It's running. It's running. 4/31/2020. Okay, it looks like it works, right? Wrong. There is no 4/31. Okay, that's illegal date. Remember that poem, 30 days have September, April, June, and November? Apparently April's got 30 days. 30 days in it. So the problem is we didn't set the month before we set the day. Okay, so there's a problem there. The basic idea to fix that is, see, the order in which you set these fields, it impacts how you initialize, how you use those setters. And we used them wrong. And because we used those wrong, we're allowing the person to set the day before you set the month, and that inherently introduces an error. Now, if we think about it a little bit, we should probably prevent people from actually doing this, okay? Because if you look inside the driver, right, not the driver, inside the main method here, we've got a whole bunch of setters, set year, set date. See, the set date should take all three values, and it controls the order in which you do the sets. We need to prevent the other setters from being called. And that's a very simple thing to do. Just make the other setters private. Okay, so make that private, make the set day private, and we'll make the set month private. All right, same code. It's just that we're not making that code available to the user of the class. So if we try to do this, we get errors. See, all we're allowing them to do is use set date. And then let's try to put 4/31/2020 in there. Okay, let's see what happens when we run this code, and we get an error. See, perfect. So we fixed a bug, a potential bug in our class. And then I thought about it a little bit and said, well, let's take a look at our constructors. The constructors, we only got 2 constructors, and I probably should put a little section here that says constructors, so to separate all these different types of methods that we have. See, right now the only constructors we're allowing is for the ability to have 3 parameters. If you have 3 parameters, that would be month, day, and year, or 0 parameters. We want to be good citizens here. What happens if we give them a date of, say, 4/2020? What date is that supposed to represent? Well, if I give it two numbers, I think what that should represent is April 1st, 2020, with the 1 being implied as far as the date. So, and what happens if I just give it 2020? Well, certainly the system's looking for a constructor that takes one parameter, and if I give it one number, then that's probably supposed to represent January 1st, 2020. So we're going to expand on our constructors a little bit, and what I'm going to do is just copy and paste some code here so I don't have to type it all out. Let me copy it and then put it into my MyDate class and put those here. All right, and let's do them in order. This doesn't make any sense. Let's put see, here's 0. Not that you have to. It's just that it doesn't look right. Okay, so we're going to have a constructor with 0 parameters, and if you've got 0 parameters, you're just leaving these fields zeros. Okay, you're just going to rely on doing the setting yourself. 1 parameter, what I'm going to do is call set date with 2 1s, January 1st, pass it the year. Okay, if you give it 2 parameters, month, 1, year, good. And if it's 3 parameters, we're going to put that down here. It's just a good way to organize it. Okay, we've got that. Okay, now let's see what happens if we go ahead and run this. Run this 2020. Let's get rid of the set date and let's run this. We should see January 1st. There it is, January 1st, 2020. And if I pass it 4, 2020, let's run this and we should see April 1st. Very good. Very, very good. So right now, this class is being developed really nice, but you know what's missing is some real work, because all we're really doing is initializing an object that's called a MyDate and printing it out. And remember, when we're printing it out, we're taking advantage of the toString that we built into the class when we developed the class in the last video. So the last thing we're going to do, the next thing we're going to do, not the last, this MyDate, you're going to get sick of MyDates because there's going to be more videos on MyDates and how to improve it. You know, this basically, we're not doing anything fancy here. We're not doing it, there's no utility methods. Like, what would you like to do? Let's take a look at a method. Let's see, number of days passed and the number of days left. Let me copy this. Let me copy this code. Now, once you've got a utility, once you've got this object, you'd like to do something with that object. What I'm going to do is call this utility methods, like the workhorse methods, and I'm going to provide a couple of methods here. And the idea behind these utility methods is, let me just take a look at there's an error there. I know it's wrong. I need to create another method here. Okay, get another method. Let me just get rid of that error. Copy, and we're going to make this paste. We're going to paste that in. Okay. All right. So now we got rid of the error. We're providing a method called number of days passed. What that means is, okay, once we got this object in my driver here, let's see, let's go back to 7/12/2020. We'll get rid of the set date. Wouldn't it be nice to know how many days have elapsed in that year? Okay, so what I would like to do is say number of days that passed, x dot number of days passed, that returns an integer, and I'm going to print that out, system.out, .println. I'm going to print that out and see what day in the year this particular date is. So if I run this, let's see what happens. I guess we'll have to take their word for it that July 12th to 2020 is the 194th day of the year. Okay, that seems kind of useful. It might be useful. Another value that we could try to calculate is the number of days left in the year. Copy, paste, and we'll call that number of days left in the year. All right, and then we're going to run this. That might be nice. And I did run it, didn't I? Let's run this code. It's just very, very slow. Okay. All right. 194, there's 172 days left in this year. That makes sense because this is a leap year. If you add those two numbers up, you get 366 days in the total year. Now, how do we do this? You got to provide a method that does this. See, we're going to have a method that will look at X and figure out the number of days that are passed. And then we're going to have another method that's public, obviously, because the driver is a separate class, and we want to make sure we want to call that method in a different class. We have to make it public. And so here's the values here. These are the values that we got here. Let's take a look at number of days left. Okay, number of days left, assuming we have a valid number of days passed, is equal to this calculation. If it's a leap year, then I'm going to write it like this. This object, if this object that we're operating on is a leap year, then there's 366 days, and I'm going to subtract from that the number of days passed. And we're going to call this object's number of days passed, and that will hopefully return the correct value, assuming number of days passed is correct. Right? And then what we're going to have, if that's true, it'll return. If it's false, we'll follow through. You don't really need that else, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to go ahead and say, well, if you get to line 144, it's not a leap year, so we're taking advantage of the fact that it's not a leap year. There must be 365 days in the year, and we're going to subtract from that the number of days passed. So that's see, we're leveraging another piece of code. Don't rewrite the code again. Just call another method that returns the value that you're looking for. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to go through the number of days passed. What we need to do is go through them, like it's July. We need to count the number of, we got to go through the months prior to July, add up all the days in those months. That's what we're doing here. Get the number of days in the month. Okay, so we're going from 1 to 7, not including 7. So we're figuring out how many days are in the months from January to June. We add them up. Okay, then we add up the day, the particular day that's inside the object. Remember, this dot month. If you don't specify month, it must be this dot month, and this dot day. We're going to add to that calculation the sum, the number of days in July, and return that value. Now, this relies on another method called get days in month. And get days in month is italicized. In Eclipse, an italicized method is static. And why is it static? Because this particular method is not relying on data in a particular object. To get the number of days in a month doesn't require you to attach itself to a month. It doesn't need to know about an object's month field or day field. All you want to know is how many days are in March. Pass it 3, and we need to know if it's a leap year, so we need to pass it. That only really applies if you're worried about the second month. So this probably never gets used very often, but you need to still pass it. And so if the month is one of these things, we're just going to return 31. We're not looking. This month field has nothing to do with the field because we're highlighting the parameter. So we're not looking at any particular object. We're just saying, hey, 1, 3, 5, 7, etc. Those are 31 days. The rest are 30, except for the second month, which is a leap year. If it's a leap year, 29, 28. That's what we're returning back. We returned. So this is got to be static. And the reason why I made it, I suppose I didn't really need to make it static. It's still going to work. But if you don't make it static, what happens is this method gets called with another parameter it's being called with another parameter, and that other parameter, it takes time to pass another parameter to this method, and if that method doesn't really require that reference to an object. It just slows the machine down. So let's make it more efficient by saying, let's make that static, and I don't get any errors. As soon as I try to do something like day, referencing the day, day cannot make a static reference to a non-static field. See, the compiler is actually checking to make sure you're doing the right thing. So let's take a look. I think everything went well here. We're going to stop the video here, and then the next video we're going to come up with a couple of more useful methods, and we'll take it from there. All right, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.